Well, hello there, fellow cultists. This is DML, and I'm coming to you with episode 38 of Shadow the Demon Lord Talk. And today we're going to be talking about insanity. So, what is insanity? Well, there are different ways to express when the mind breaks. And in the real world, this can take the shape of, say, like people believing that sushi is something good to eat, or that the Star Wars sequel trilogy was actually good. Um, my brother actually believes that disco music was good. So these are actually forms of insanity in the real world, but I'm not talking about the real world today. I'm talking about Shadow the Demon Lord world, and on Earth, URTH, insanity takes an even wider range of attributes. And today I'm going to talk about how I'm going to be stepping up my insanity game in my next campaign. Now, I've talked about this in a couple of my past videos, that my next campaign is going to be more focused on the horror aspect of the fantasy horror that is Shadow the Demon Lord. And so the rules for insanity are in the core rulebook, and let me go ahead and share my PDF with you here. So the core rulebook has the insanity rules, and I'm not going to go through these. This is not an insanity tutorial, but basically what I have done in the past is I've followed these rules for the most part, but where I've failed is in ensuring that the creatures that I'm putting out in encounters that can cause insanity actually have that effect. Now, what I mean by that is usually when I start an encounter and I throw a monster out there, let's say, let's say I throw out an animated corpse. So an animated corpse is a frightening creature, and it's a frightening undead. So just by the nature of it being frightening means that there's a chance that the players, or the characters, I should say, will gain a point or more of insanity just by viewing this creature when it's put out there. But what I fail to do just about every time is I fail to take the frightening aspect of the creature into consideration. So I just start the encounter, and it's just a normal encounter with, the players, fighting an undead creature. But the horror aspect is what should make undead that much more scary, rather than just fighting any other normal creature. So when going forward, when I start an encounter, well, first of all, I'm going to throw a lot more frightening and horrifying creatures in encounters out there. Not only creatures, but also just situations that are frightening or horrifying. But let's just talk about creatures for a second. So with creatures, the frightening and horrifying rules are on page 214 of the core rulebook. And this tells you what happens when you put out a frightening creature. Creature does not have the frightening or horrifying trait, must make a will challenge roll when it first sees one or more creatures with this trait. It makes the roll with 1 bane if it sees 4 or more frightening creatures at once. So if you throw out 5 animated corpses, then the character must make a will challenge roll with 1 bane because it's 4 or more frightening creatures at once. If it's just 1, then they just do a straight up challenge roll, 1 to 3. It's just a straight up challenge roll. If they fail, then the character is frightened for a number of rounds equal to 1d3 plus its insanity total, or it gains 1 insanity if it's already frightened. So the first time they see a frightening creature in an encounter, and they're not already frightened, then they would just get the frightened attribute. Then if more frightening or horrifying things come into play in that same encounter, then a failure on a will challenge roll would result in that character getting 1 insanity. So that's one way that they can get an insanity point. Horrifying creatures are worse because they are horrifying is worse than frightening. And or more horrifying creatures at once. So that's the same as frightening. On a failure, however, a character will gain 1 insanity or 1d3 insanity if it's already frightened. So a frightened character that sees a horrifying creature and fails its will challenge roll will gain 1d3 insanity. Otherwise, a non-frightened character failing its will challenge roll against a horrifying creature will gain 1 insanity. So I have to look this up every time. I don't know why I can't get this embedded in my brain, but what I'm going to do to embed it in my brain is I'm going to throw out a lot more frightening and horrifying creatures into my game. So in order to do that, the characters have to have a way to be able to offset all of the insanity that's going to be coming their way. Now, there's already ways to offset insanity. In fact, if you ask me, it's too easy to get rid of insanity. But if I'm going to be bombarding them with insanity, then they're probably going to need to be able to offset some of that, at least in the short term, so that they can, continue running their character for the remainder of that session. So, of course, the normal ways to do that would be with the, I think it's a cure spell in the, well, let's just take a look. In Magic, under the Life Tradition, Life, he likes it. Hey, Mikey. All right, so Life Tradition, it is, here we go. It's a cure spell. So with a cure spell, you can remove one of the following afflictions from the target: disease, fatigue, impaired, or poisoned. Remove 1 insanity from the target. Okay, and the character probably has at least 2 castings of this, so in any given day, they can probably get rid of 2 points of insanity. Now, in any given day, you might only give out, or you might only inflict 2 points of insanity, so that doesn't help. So by adding more encounters and situations that result in insanity, or could result in insanity, will help to offset the fact that this is a pretty easy way to get rid of insanity. Another easy way to get rid of insanity is by taking on a quirk. Now, the quirks are first addressed in the core rulebook under the Running the Game section. And let's see if I can find it here. The instead of taking a point of insanity, the player can opt to take a quirk. And the quirks are left up to the GM and the player to work out together. If I can find the section here. Here we go. Okay, so back it up. All right. So it gives you the types of quirks that, or the categories of quirks that you might be able to get. But it does state that you should work with your GM to gain a quirk that makes sense. So the different types would be an addiction quirk or compulsion quirk, delusion quirk, depression quirk, stammering quirk, unhinged acceptance quirk, or unusual behavior quirk. There's more: flashbacks, memory loss, narcolepsy, nightmares, and phobia. So that's what's suggested in the core rulebook. Now, there is a supplement called Frayed Ends that came out not too long ago, and it provides you a way to just an easier way to come up with quirks on the spot. So you're not spending game time trying to work out a quirk with your GM while the rest of the people at the table are twiddling their thumbs and playing on their cell phones. You can just roll it. So this supplement, again, is called Frayed Ends, just allows you to roll 1d6 to determine which table you roll off of, and then you roll 1d20 on that table to determine what quirk you get. So let's say I rolled a 4 for my table and I rolled a 12 for my quirk. The quirk I would get is that you use incomprehensible and outlandish units of measurement. So instead of saying that guy is 1 yard away, you would say that monster is 6.5 googly wops distance from me. And everybody is looking at you like, what? So, it can be funny. I think some of these can be more detrimental, but at any rate, these are ways to offset getting insanity just by choosing to take a quirk to avoid taking that insanity point. Now, what I'm also going to be doing is using the Unhinged the Mind supplement to make insanity more of a threat based on the type of creature and the level of the creature that you're dealing with. So this supplement gives you a way to determine how to rate the amount of insanity that you would give out to a player based on a creature's difficulty. So, not level, difficulty is what I meant to say earlier. And so the difficulty chart is right here. A horrifying creature intensity. If it's a difficulty 1 creature or less, I would assume, then it is a minor intensity, which means that you make your will challenge roll with 1 boon. And if you happen to fail, then you get 1 point of insanity. However, it goes up from there, and it can go up to an extreme intensity, which is a creature that is 500 plus difficulty. You make your will challenge roll with 2 banes, and if you fail, you gain 1d6 insanity points. So that's pretty bad. So the rules down here for multiplying horrifying creatures are pretty much the same as what I read earlier. And then the insanity intensity, this is also in the core rulebook, but it's repeated here again. And it gives you different examples on what could be an intense situation where an insanity may come into play. So just for example, you have a minor situation, which could be like finding a finger in one's food. A moderate situation could be something like being compelled to commit despicable acts of evil. A major scenario might be being buried alive. A severe one might be becoming lost in a borderland between the mortal world and a hidden kingdom. And finally, an extreme situation might be seeing the demon lord being lost in the void or torturing and murdering a loved one. So these are all examples that you can kind of gauge your scenarios that you are creating to determine whether or not insanity would apply, and also if it does, how intense it would be. So just as an example, in my campaign that I am planning on running here soon, I do have a place where the characters are going to be encountering or going into a chamber that has a huge statue of an old one, an elder thing. Those of you that are in the know that that's Cthulhu, pictured there. But then there are also smaller statues all around Cthulhu that are also elder things. And the statues themselves, they're scary, all right, but that wouldn't necessarily be enough to incite or make somebody go insane. But it could, just the scariness could be, in and of itself, could be something that you would consider. I would consider that a minor intensity. But this particular chamber is going to be on an island that is actually a part of Rillier that has risen. And Rillier is the city that Cthulhu sleeps in. And this little island will have cropped up, and the players will have found it. And once they find this chamber, not only are they going to encounter the statues themselves, but the nature of the island combined with the statues is going to up the intensity from what I would normally consider minor up to a major. threat, because by the time they reach this, they're actually going to have probably gone through the first two chambers of the island, encountered the frightening and horrifying things there, and then make their way up to here, which would also intensify the encounter. So that's the plan. Now, of course, if they go straight to here, then I might just make it a moderate intensity rather than a major intensity, but we'll see how it goes. So anyway, that's how I plan on using the insanity rules for an encounter that doesn't necessarily have something to fight. It's just a chamber that they walk into that has a frightening or horrifying aspect to it that could play on their character psyches. So that is, again, that is the Unhinge the Mind supplement. And of course, I would be remiss if I didn't talk about any characters that gain enough insanity to actually go mad. Now, gaining insanity means that you accumulate insanity points up until you reach your will score in your character's will score. So if your character has a will of 10, let's say, and you gain 10 insanity points, then they go mad. Now, and it says right here, when your insanity total becomes equal to your will score, you become at risk of going mad. Normally, you roll on the madness table upon going mad, but the GM can make the outcome a bit more unpredictable by calling for a fate roll, with the number rolled determining what happens. 1, you suffer long-term madness. 2 to 5, you suffer short-term madness. And if you roll a 6, you don't go mad, but instead you reduce your insanity total by an amount equal to your will modifier plus 1d6. So if you're using this alternate method, instead of rolling straight on the madness table, which I believe is also in the core rulebook, page 35, as it states right there, then you're giving your characters a little bit better chance. And I say that because if you roll strictly on the short-term madness table and you roll a 1, that is instant death. So I say using this rule here to use a fate roll instead enables you to either have short-term madness or long-term madness, or not have a madness at all and shrug it off. So that's probably the rule I'm going to be using for my upcoming campaign. Now, short-term madness, like I said, that table's on page 35. Long-term madness tables are here in the supplement, and you can see, or the table, not tables, the table includes anything from you can't recognize faces anymore to fear consumes you. You make challenge rolls to avoid or stop becoming frightened with 3 banes. You double the duration of the frightened affliction when you develop it, all the way to a fractured personality. Your personality splinters into 1d3 plus 1 pieces. One of those pieces is your true self. The others are new personalities invented by your mind. For each personality, randomly determine its gender and then use your ancestry table, and then use your ancestry tables to create a new character. Ignoring any table that would alter the character's appearance, then randomly determine the personality's profession henceforth. So basically, your fractured mind results in you actually having potentially 4 characters or 5 characters. Your original character plus 1d3 plus 1, so up to 4 more personalities. So you could be running 5 characters, which for some people that might be a challenge. I mean, if you're a hell of a role player and you think you could manage running 5 different characters that are all the same person, but split personalities, that might be interesting. But I don't know if I would allow that with my players because they have trouble running their one character. But at any rate, anyway, this also gives you ways to recover from long-term madness. And then it also provides you a new magical way of getting rid of insanity. And madness, and that is with a new telepathy spell, Restore the Mind. So anyway, I do intend to use this supplement in my upcoming campaign, and just really up the ante on insanity in the game. I really want to make insanity a thing. I want it to be something that sets this campaign apart from others, simply by the long-term effects that the insanity accumulated over the course of 10 games, 10 sessions, will have on the characters. So anyway, that's pretty much all I wanted to cover on insanity for today's video. Hope I didn't forget something, but I'm sure if I did, I will mention it in a subsequent game or video. All right, so for the few minutes that remain on this video that I want to try to keep fairly short, I would like to touch on Foundry once again. My last two videos were on Foundry, and I keep playing with them more and more, and I keep learning more and more and interacting with the developer of the Shadow of the Demon Lord rules for Foundry, who is an excellent, excellent man by the name of Bo Kellett Hedwig. I can't read my own writing. Helweg. He's now also known on the Discord, the Demon Lord Discord server as Xacus, Xacus. This gentleman has developed the Shadow of the Demon Lord for Foundry. So all the rules that are in here are thanks to him, and he also is open to suggestions for future updates. He actually took one from me and implemented it, and I'm super grateful for it, because now it allows me to, whenever there's a situation where multiple characters have to make a challenge roll, I can select multiple characters, NPCs, and click one button to initiate the challenge rolls for all of them, rather than having to open up each one of their sheets, or of course I'm using the shortcut from one of the modules. I forget what this one's called. The token action HUD, I think, is what this one's called. But anyway, normally what I would have to do is I would have to click on each token, do a challenge roll, then move on to the next one, do a challenge roll, move on to the next one, do a challenge roll, and so on. But now with the update that Xacus has done, what we can now do, this is pretty cool, is you can select multiple targets like so, and you can initiate a challenge roll. Let's say that this is like a fireball, and they all have to make an agility challenge roll. So you have all the ones affected that are in the area of effect selected. Then you go to challenge roll and roll agility. Of course, you add any boons or banes that would apply. And then you make a roll for number 1, roll for number 2, roll for number 3, and you see the name changes every time, and roll for number 4. Well, there's only 3 selected. But anyway, super fast. It's exactly what I had asked for and wanted. So thank you very much, Bo Kellett Helwig or Xacus, for implementing that for us. That is an excellent, excellent improvement. Another thing I want to do, just highlight on today's video, is the fact that I had the combat damage rolling all wrong in my last video. I was confused, and so I have been educated. And so now I want to just go through how you would normally do an attack sequence. So I am the GM, so I am running the monsters, right? So I have this dude, and he is a filthy goblin festering maw, and he is going to attack this PC here. So it would, of course, use let's pretend that we're in a combat round, and it has the slow attack option. So it moves up to on the slow attack option, it moves up to the character as its move, and then as its attack, he would target that character that he wants to attack. So targeting the character enables the attack engine to know what that character's defense is so that it will automate the attack roll and give us a response as to whether or not that attack hits or if it misses. So I'm going to try to hit with the disease bite. And we roll that, and we can see that the roll is an 11. So if I have my chat box open here, you can see that it's a hit because the defense of the character that it is hitting is only a 10. So we got a 23 total, and it gives the information for the attack here. Now we want to roll the damage. So you can go ahead and roll the damage here. And now that we know that we're going to apply, that we have 11 damage, we can determine whether to apply all the damage to the target, apply double damage if you have something special that is making the character vulnerable to this attack, or apply half damage if the character is somehow resistant to the attack. But we'll say this is just normal damage that the Festering Maw is doing to the character. Now, before I click on the apply damage to the target, I actually have to click on, and I have to have the select tool selected in order to do this. I have to click on the character that I want to damage. It's not enough to have the targeting indicator around him. You also have to have the orange box highlight around the character token that denotes that that character has been selected. Once that has been selected, then you apply damage to the target, like so. And this character had 0 damage before, and if I open up his character sheet, you can see that now he has maxed out his damage bar because he only has 10 health. So he has actually taken 11 damage, placing him essentially at the maximum of his health. And so at this point, he is going to fall down and start making fate rolls. So that is how combat works. And I apologize for my previous video where I was doing it wrong. But hopefully this clears things up for any of you that are watching this and have watched my previous videos. So once that is done, you want to be sure to unselect or deselect the character. And if you have the module, called deselection, you can just click anywhere in the background and you can get rid of whoever is selected. But it doesn't get rid of the targeting. Targeting you have to get rid of by either clicking the target and then clicking this again, or you can right click on the token and just click the target button and that gets rid of it as well. So a couple of different ways to do that, but you don't want that target lingering there forever because you're going to want to target other things in subsequent rounds. So anyway, that's how that works, and I wanted to get that cleared up for anybody that had watched my previous videos and were scratching their heads on why it's not working the way it's supposed to. Okay, so that's it for today's video. Thank you all for watching. This was number 38 again. If you enjoy my videos, please hit the like button. That helps to increase visibility on my videos, and that's the whole point of me doing these videos, is so that they are available for folks that are looking for people to talk Shadow the Demon Lord with, and that's me. There's not a whole lot of videos like this. There's quite a few actual play videos. There are quite a few interview videos with Rob Schwalb, but there's no videos that actually just kind of talk about the game and the different aspects of the game and how those are incorporated into a campaign. And that's what I try to do on my videos. I try to just kind of just give you an average GM's take on the game and how to incorporate the various aspects of the game into a campaign to make it work. So hopefully you find these videos helpful. And if you like to leave a comment, you can feel free to do so. Otherwise, I will go ahead and call it a day. Thank you all for watching, and hail to the Demon Lord, Mr. Schwab, who once again made an excellent game, and I'm very thankful for it. So, adios, muchachos.